Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report, high school football fans, for part 2 of our Central Indiana Sports Report high school football scoreboard for week 8. It's late at night, or more appropriately, early in the morning. But Michelle and I are here to bring you a little bit of bonus coverage from Friday night. Michelle covered Tipton against Hamilton Heights in the Hammer game, and she will talk about that game coming up. But first, she and I are going to talk about the CIC, and Eastbrook is your 2025 champion, their 17th CIC championship, handing Mississinewa its first defeat since 2022 in conference play.
Impressive performance by Coach Adamson's Panthers tonight. You and I, Greg, we predicted them to win. This is Coach Adamson's best team in a few years. When you have a great athlete like Bodie Howe, it makes things a little easier. Bodie Howe, he is a huge difference maker for the Panthers. His athleticism is just, coaches love getting to coach athletes and players like Bodie Howe. And, he's a senior. He started for 3 years. He's a veteran back there. He knows exactly what Coach Adamson and his staff want and expect out of him. And I just think that's a huge plus for Eastbrook this year.
As we talked about a little, I predicted Eastbrook would win the conference championship before the season. I didn't expect Mississinewa to be as good as they've been, man, what a win. What a season for Eastbrook. This would be a good chance to hear from Coach Adamson after the game and his thoughts on his championship and what the Panthers have coming up. Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Eastbrook head coach Jeff Adamson off a 35-14 win over Mississinewa. And Coach, you've had a lot of big wins. This one's right up there.
It was a fantastic game. It really was. Both sides played extremely well. We were just fortunate to get some really important plays at the right time, I think.
It's kind of been a story of the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. I think the neat thing, in different nights, it's been, really good performance on offense or defense or maybe even special teams. Tonight we had all three working together pretty well. Defense played extremely well. The Mississinewa got a couple scores on us in the second quarter, and then we pretty well shut them down through the second half. And I when I say shut them down, we didn't let them score, but it was just a hard fought game all the way around.
And I'm sure you'd like to take some time to celebrate another CIC championship, your 17th. Congratulations. But it just kind of gets more difficult from here, starting next week with a game. I'm sure the CIC championship won't mean quite as much if you can't get by Oak Hill next week.
We want to win it outright. So I don't think any of our guys feel like our work is done. And Coach Osmond is a fantastic coach. He defends us extremely well. And I know we'll have a hard-fought game next week as well, but certainly those games, just like tonight, help make you better for the tournament as well.
Yeah, speaking of the tournament, it's almost unfair how good this sectional is.
I'm certain that we're going to draw the other ranked teams in the first and second round. It seems like that's how our luck has been the last few years. But, I just like where our guys are right now. They're really focused on doing whatever it takes to win. That they're not concerned about, who carries or, who's doing what. Everybody's just focused on doing their own job and hoping that carries over for the rest of the team. And that's what they're focused on, just the team.
Coach Adamson, thank you so much. And congratulations once again, 17 conference titles. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep it up.
No time to celebrate it all, Michelle, because Eastbrook won a conference championship tonight, but if they lose to Oak Hill next Friday and have to share that thing with Mississinewa, it's not going to feel quite as nice.
No, it won't. And I'm going to guess that Coach Adamson is going to remind his players of that, but I think senior leaders like Bodie Howe and those guys will remind their teammates, hey, yeah, the win over Mississinewa was great, but all we've done is got a share of the conference championship. We won it outright. No let up.
And Michelle, that sectional is just not just that it's good, and it is good, but that it's so balanced. It seems like there are 5 teams that are all throw them in a hat.
You've got 3 teams that their only hope for a sectional win is to draw each other in the first round. For 2 of the 3 to draw each other in the first round, that's Elwood, Wabash, and Blackford. And the other 5, I can tell you what, every coach, there's probably most of those coaches I think are thinking, I don't want the draw to make me have to play 3 to win the sectional.
And what they really want is to be on the same side with Blackford, Wabash, and Elwood. That would be a dream scenario for somebody. By the way, Eastbrook 8-0, Rochester 7-1, Eastern 7-1, Alexandria a very good 6-2, and Tipton, as you mentioned in part 1 of the scoreboard, Michelle, and we'll talk about it here in just a minute. Tipton a very good 4-4. They're 3-0 against Class 2A teams.
All those teams, they all have offensive weapons that can challenge other teams.
And if I had to guess, I would say that Tipton might be the 5th best team, but they also could win that sectional. That's how balanced I think that sectional is. To me, Eastbrook, Alexandria, and Eastern are the 3 favorites. Tipton and Rochester maybe a half level behind, if even that, maybe a quarter level, if even at all. It's just so even. And before we get back to Michelle Tipton, talk about Franken's 40-13 win over Blackford. Big night for Marty Wells' first win as Franken head coach, and I'm pretty sure, although I probably couldn't say this with 100% certainty, the first head coach in CIC history to win a game with 3 different programs.
You know what? That's probably correct.
Yeah. I can't even name one who's done it at 2. I'm sure there are some. But
Yeah, there might be there probably are if we would go back before our time.
maybe. But I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean not 3, but there might have been one before our time
Right.
that did too.
Had a couple, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely could have.
Especially if it was kind of at the borderline of the old conference that included some of those other schools, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
when it first
for sure.
started. And then newer, so
The Warsaws and Plymouths and
yeah.
Huntingtons and so we mentioned it before the season when we were at stage 22 with Coach Wells that he could actually have a pretty good team and be 0-7 going into the final 2 regular season games. Not that his team's been very good this year. I don't think they were very good. I don't think they have been very good, although certainly have been improving from week to week. But nice to be able to finally get that win, and with a good chance to win another one next Friday against Elwood.
Yeah, and great that it might not seem great now, but it's going to pay dividends, I think, next year for Coach Wells. The experience that the freshman quarterback, Rowan Branham, has gotten in place of Stansbury is going to be invaluable and pay off next year. And I know he struggled some this year, which you would expect. So it's hard to be a freshman to go in against a team, especially one that was kind of undergoing a change anyway and a rebuild a little bit in some ways. His experience that he's getting this year should pay dividends for Frankton next year. Not that maybe they'll come out and have any better start, because they're still going to be young and still improving, and it's still the CIC, and their front part of the schedule is still probably going to be pretty loaded. So it should make for a better year, maybe offensively. Maybe they won't struggle as much next year early.
I think they have some talent in their younger classes, and that's a proud program that deserves success.
Yes.
And Oak Hill went to 5-3. They've kind of been an afterthought in the CIC, but that's a really good team.
Yeah, it is. I think Oak Hill is a team that is good, just is not maybe quite to be able to put 4 complete quarters together.
I mean,
It's kept them, a little bit of a level, I've kept them like a level down. Of course, they have a chance to prove me wrong against Eastbrook next week. So,
and they have a really tough sectional as well with Lures, Mississinewa, Heritage. Oof.
yes.
Michelle, before we get to the Blue Devils, quick word on Western's win over Logansport tonight. Western going from winless last year to Hoosier Conference champions tonight.
Yeah, I know. Big win for the Panthers, especially since they did it without their all-state running back, who is done for the year. Yeah, huge win. Austin Colby has just done a really good job there. I think he can. This can be the start of rebuilding and getting Western back to where they've been, in the past, and huge strides from a year ago. But I'm also going to say this: the Hoosier Conference has some good teams, but it's not as strong as it has been. You look, Central Catholic is just not very good. They're very young this year. West Lafayette is below West Lafayette standards. I don't really know what's happened to Logansport. They started off strong, and then they're kind of tail spinning here at the end of the season. Team that is really good, I think, is Hamilton Heights, and I think Twin Lakes, really good. Yeah, great win by the Panthers tonight. They'll have a tough time themselves in the sectional.
Michelle, you had a really good back and forth game, kind of a defensive battle with some really big offensive plays.
Yeah, the first half was like both teams could kind of move the ball from like 15 to 20 to the opponent's 15 to 20, and then they'd get down in there, and then the defenses would just tighten and not give you anything. Heights actually, they used their first kind of big pass play, and then a big run by AJ Flanagan to go up 6-0, and Tipton's Nathan Hawkins, he blocked the PAT on the ensuing kickoff. Isaiah Mahaney picked it up at his own 7. He went sprinting up the right sideline, cut back and across the field, and then took it in for a 93-yard kickoff return. Brogan Ferg made the PAT. Tipton's up 7-6. Blue Devils have a chance to add to their lead late. They're actually facing like a 4th and 3, 4th and 5. They're going to go for it with 38 seconds remaining in the half. They get a false start. A player jumped, and it was very obvious. So it backs them up. So they decide to attempt a field goal. Fergs misses a 27-yard attempt. Heights gets the ball at the 20. They complete a long pass play, get down to the Tipton, like I think the 4-yard line with 3.6 seconds to go. Instead, they don't elect to throw it. They elect to run it. Jack Roach, who I thought had a really good game for Tipton. Offensive, defensive line. He tackles AJ Flanagan for a 1-yard loss as the halftime expires. So the Blue Devils go in 7-6 lead. Second half, of course, more scoring. Tipton's big problem, I think, in the second half was they really didn't have really good field position. Heights might make a long pass play or whatever, and they might not score off of it, but it kind of changed field position because they'd get down in there and Tipton's defense a couple times, stopped them on downs inside the red zone, like inside the 15, so you don't get good starting field position there. But the big difference in the game was a pick six by the Huskies that took the game. I think that was the last touchdown. It was the pick six. It was a 19-13 game. Pick six came just around midfield and ran it back and made it 26-13. A great game. I mean, the hammer, it was a good hammer game. I mean, that's what you want when you have two rivals, kind of backyard rivals. And really, I've said this, Hamilton Heights has replaced everybody else and is really Tipton's, I think, their number one rival, even though they're a larger school. And, I think Tipton's closer to falling down to single A, and Heights is closer to eventually moving up to 4A, so that will be interesting. But great game. It was a nice atmosphere. It was Heights' senior night. There was a great crowd. That's the one thing you can usually pretty much guarantee when Tipton and Heights play each other. They draw really good crowds. The kind of crowds that Tipton and Elwood used to draw before Elwood's
Downfall.
Yes, before their downfall.
And the Blue Devils finish the regular season next week at Benton Central. Long drive, but should be able to finish the regular season with a win. Hamilton Heights has a chance to get its 5th win of the season at West Lafayette. Nice challenge for them heading into the postseason.
Yeah, I think both teams are going to win. I think Tipton is, you see what Central Catholic did to Benton Central tonight. We know what Tipton did to Central Catholic a week ago. It's going to be Tipton's really third really long road trip. They've already had to go to Heritage and Rensselaer back to back. And so then they'll go to Benton Central, to close out the regular season. Hoosier Conference small school division play. The nice thing is, I think that game will end in a running clock. I think if Tipton has the opportunity to take a 35-point lead in the first half, I think they'll take it just so they can get home earlier in the in the second half, because that's a long trip, and they'll want to get ready for the sectional, their first round opponent, and depending on who they draw, be a key thing. I will say this, Aaron and I got to talk just a little bit tonight. There was I took a detour. I'm not gonna say a whole lot on air, but there was a little medical thing that happened, so we weren't able to do a true post-game interview, and it wasn't a medical thing with Aaron, by the way, and everybody is fine and home and everything now. But we did talk a little bit, and Aaron was pleased. He thought that 7 or 8 plays was the difference between winning or losing tonight for Tipton. He was very proud because they had opportunities to win that game. They were able to run the ball on Hamilton Heights. He wasn't sure if they would be able to run the ball against Hamilton Heights, and they did run it with success tonight. Chase Hussey did an outstanding job carrying the load. He did a great job blocking and pass protection for Quinn. Quinn, I think, I don't think he didn't get sacked once, I don't believe. So they did a really nice job of protecting him. And said a great game. Heights, their junior quarterback threw some nice balls. They made some nice catches. Their linemen did all right. Heights is gonna graduate some key players. Of course, I know Tipton's, Hussey's gonna graduate. Jack Roach is gonna graduate, but Tipton still has a lot of young players that have played a lot of varsity this year that will return next year. Heights did have like 68 kids on their roster. 38 of those are 38 of those were freshmen and sophomores, and I know they have a really nice size senior class because they recognized all of the senior class, which surprised me because they did it at halftime of the game. They recognized the cheerleaders and the football players and their parents at halftime of that game. And I know I went on to put me in against sports, and I said, I said it surprises me because if I'm Coach Kirshner, I want my players in the locker room at halftime. I don't want this senior night. I want this done before the game, not during halftime. But yeah, great game. Two really good teams. I think two teams that are headed in the right direction heading into the postseason.
And Lapel hosts. Lapel is unbeaten, Michelle, for the first time in program history through 8 weeks. They host a really tough Eastern Hancock team next Friday, one of their toughest tests of the season, and a potential sectional rival, a sectional that includes 7-1 Triton Central, 7-1 Winchester, 7-1 Northeastern, 6-2 Centerville, 5-3 Shenandoah, and 5-3 Eastern Hancock.
I think Lapel, it will depend. It's going to depend on the draw on Sunday because I think if Lapel and Eastern Hancock would draw each other and play again the following week, I think both of those teams will. I wouldn't be surprised next Friday for kind of a very vanilla game. But I do think Lapel is better. I think Lapel will beat Eastern Hancock, and I think they could beat them back to back. I think Lapel is the class of that sectional a little bit. I know I don't think they came up short last year. Am I right? Did they not?
No, Lapel won sectional last year.
They did win sectional. They should repeat it. Like I said, Greg, we've talked about it. I've said it all year. Devin Craig is the best quarterback in this area. I know Bodie Howe, but Bodie Howe is an athlete. Devin is an athlete, and a lot of his success comes running and even on returns and stuff like that. Devin Craig, he throws a good football. He throws a really good football. He's a balanced type of quarterback. And I just think that, to be honest, I think the only thing that might really stop or could hurt Lapel in the sectional would just be really bad weather to where you can't throw the ball.
That's a good point. But they've also run the ball very well this year with Miller, and they've also played really good defense this year, something they kind of lacked last year. They're giving up 11 points a game this season.
Yeah, that's really impressive, and they're going to be, a tough out in 2A. I think their sectional goes south though, right? So they wouldn't have to run into Adams Central like in their regional or anything. Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's better to be in the South. I know Brownstown Central is down there, and I think you said you really like that football coach and everything, but I think the South is an easier path to go through than having to try to go through Adams Central in the North.
Maybe, but Lutheran would be in the regional, Brownstown or Linton would be in the semi-state. That is definitely not easy.
No, definitely not easy, but I don't think – I know both Lutheran and Adams Central jumped up together. Adams Central is fine at the 2A level when it comes to other, the tough. I'm not so sure that Lutheran is quite at that same level. I really do think I do think Lapel can get to the semi-state.
Michelle, according to the Sagarin ratings, Brownstown, Linton, Lapel, and Andrean are all ranked higher than Adams Central. I know it's just a Sagarin rating, but I'm just saying.
Until somebody with what Adams Central has done the last few years, until somebody beats them, they are the team to beat.
I think you're probably right, but I think this is Brownstown's year. Just a feeling. Another game I wanted to talk about, Michelle, before we go, and it's really late, but Pendleton Heights 24, Yorktown 22. Crazy game. Rylan Kiesling, one of the best defensive players in the area, proved it tonight with 4 sacks and then the game-winning stop on a potential 2-point conversion that would have tied the game late. What a
Yeah.
year for the Arabians.
Yeah, what a tremendous year for the Arabians. And, the bad thing is they could have to turn around in 2 weeks and play Yorktown again. Really don't hope. I really hope that's not the case. That should be the championship game. That's one of the big reasons I really, and I know everybody goes, well, you can't really do it. It's hard to do. It's one of the big reasons I would be for. I'm for seeding at least the first two teams, 1 and 2 in a sectional, because when you have it and it's such disparity, that should really be your championship game.
Michelle, I understand the IGSA's wanting to have every sport the same, where every team's in the postseason and gets their shot in the postseason, but football's different, and not every team belongs in the postseason. We
Yeah, but
need
you know what? It's better because, Greg, I actually, I mean, when I was in school, it was the cluster system, and the
well, no,
cluster
no, no,
system.
no. We need more teams. We don't want to do like the cluster system. What we want to do is eliminate the teams that don't belong in a postseason. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well, I think one of the things that would go to that is really because if you look at a lot of those teams that don't belong and you look at their numbers, is again the IHSAA needs to do a better job. And I don't if you have to and get and promote and really go for this 8-man football for these smaller schools to do 8-man football. And it's just it. I mean, I just think that you get them out of there, and it makes a difference because
Okay,
you
but
know, I mean, look, Edinburgh this week had to. I mean, they've dropped football for the rest of the season. They don't have enough
yeah.
healthy players. I just say promote. You offer, but really get out there, really make it, and promote it to these schools and these corporations. Faith Christian should be playing 8-man football. Tri Central should be playing 8-man football. Whether they want to or not, their numbers dictate they should be playing 8-man football. And I think if I just say they need to promote it and they need to say, hey, here's a roster number. If you don't top it, you're 8-man football. Because we all know, Greg, you lose players to injury. It doesn't even have to be all season, but you do lose players to injury and illness sometimes through the course of the season. Then it becomes dangerous if you only have 13, 14 kids to play, especially if you're going against a bigger school. Like, say, if you were taking a team like that and you had to go play a school like with 60, like Hamilton Heights. That's it's not a good thing.
To your point on Pendleton Heights and Yorktown should be the sectional championship. Pendleton Heighs' tag room rating is 82. Yorktown's is 80, which proved out exactly that score tonight. Third place, Beech Grove, is 59.
Yeah.
So, Yorktown, congratulations, by the way. We mentioned what a great job they've done at Pendleton Heights. Yorktown, too. They're the only team to score double-digit points against New Pal this year. So,
Yeah, it is a great job by both of those schools. And yeah, I mean, Pendleton Heights, I think a little shocked by that this year,
yeah.
knowing what they lost last year. But what tremendous coaching job
Oh,
the staff has done there.
yeah. Coach, I'm sorry. Yeah, Coach Richmond has been a guest on the Central Indiana Sports Report, and man, we're gonna do Coach of the Year at the end of the year, and I'm not saying he's gonna be our Coach of the Year, but if he's not, it's gonna have to be somebody who did a really good job.
Yeah.
And we're gonna close out with the Hoosier Heartland Conference. Eastern is going to win the conference championship with a win at Clinton Prairie next Friday, assuming they get that job done. No guarantee. Clinton Prairie's not a slouch, but most likely Eastern's going to win that game. And then Carroll and Sheridan will play each other in Sheridan. The other one will share a piece of the conference championship.
Yeah, that Sheridan Carroll game, that's going to be one very physical game. Two teams very similar in kind of what they do and how they play football. Be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Sheridan comes back after this kind of a loss at Eastern.
By the way, the Sheridan is going to be a huge favorite in their sectional. Clinton Prairie might be the second best team.
Yeah.
So, yikes. It also
Yes.
has Tinley, Clinton Central, and Cloverdale. Unlike
Sheridan
Eastern,
should be rolling through that sectional.
which will not have an easy sectional.
No. That's the disadvantage. I don't know. I think Delphi 2A?
I believe so. Yeah.
Used to be. So actually, that's the
Yeah.
disadvantage for Eastern because they and Delphi are the only schools. They're 2A. Everybody else is 1A in that conference.
I believe they're both small 2A, but
Yes.
2A schools. But yeah, Delphi is in a sectional with Southmont, Western Boone. Oof. All right. Hold on. Wanted to mention one more thing before we go. And I don't remember. The Three Rivers Conference comes down to week 9. Rochester, Mechaniqua. Mechaniqua's kind of been living on the edge, no more so than tonight when they came back from 28-0 down against Manchester. A Manchester team that's having quite a season. But it looks like to me Rochester's defense is legit, and I think they're going to win that game.
I think they probably will too. And if they don't, it's going to be another very close game. Like the Connequa Manchester game was tight tonight. I mean, they're not. I know. I think they kind of blew out Rochester last year. That's not happening this year.
Rochester has given up this year 0-7, 0-7, 0-0, 14, and 7. Their only loss 7-2 to Tippecanoe Valley. But they've also are averaging 42 points a game. And they're way too good for the Three Rivers Conference this year. Not a very good conference. But still, those are impressive numbers. And Northwestern, who they beat 49-7, is not a bad team.
No, no. But I think
Pretty
Greg, it's
weak
really kind
schedule.
of interesting because I think all of the conferences that are mainly in our area, that we focus on, they're all down a little bit.
CIC's not.
Yeah, a little bit. Madison Grant's not what Madison Grant has been the last 2 years.
Okay. Because they're
I mean,
playing against 4 other really good teams.
no, I know, but I mean, like Madison Grant the last 2 years doesn't let what happened tonight happen.
We'll see in the postseason.
I know. I think you think they're going to make a big run. It
I'm
will
talking
be
about this.
interesting.
I'm talking
This
about
could
the
be,
entire CIC.
yeah. Oh, in the postseason, yeah, we
Yeah.
will see. And they're probably the only one that I shouldn't say they're probably the one that's not down there. Probably maybe kind of even keel with last year because yeah, it's kind of going like it did last year. The separation from
Yeah. And
those
Mississinewa is not as good as they were last year for sure.
right,
But
but
Eastbrook is a lot better. I think Oak Hill's
Eastbrook is
better.
better. So yeah,
Oak Hill, I think, was better. Alexandria is definitely better than they were last year. I think the CIC overall is this is
well,
definitely a better year.
yeah. I'm interested to see how Alexandria come tournament time how much success they have on the ground because that's kind of what
If
hurt
I
them
were
last
them,
year in the sectional when they played Tipton. They could not run the ball. They could not run the ball.
I don't know if I'd ever run the ball with all those wide receivers. I mean, they had a pair of wide receivers last year who were both incredible, and now they're their second and third receivers. That's how
So
good they are.
they are, and it is. But you also have to remember they run a unique offense. The CIC is not a passing conference,
Right.
which I think is what hurts them. Ellick is, but in that sectional, there's Eastern and Tipton that run the same type of offenses and have the same kind of athletes at the wide, out
Yeah.
at wide receivers.
Which is probably why Eastern won that sectional last year.
Yes.
And has a chance to win it again this year.
Yeah, and I mean, so I think that's it. I would like to see. I do think Elwood. Don't get me wrong, and really good and everything. But I'd like to see them against another team with that can throw. I just think that's that's the interesting part. That's the one thing that maybe hurts them a little bit. Playing in a conference that does not have a lot of teams that does that, and it will be interesting. Sectionally is going to be interesting, like we said. Got some good teams, well coached teams in that sectional.
Michelle, let's talk about it all again Sunday.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. We will be back on Sunday night with a podcast with our initial reaction to the sectional draw. Then on Monday, we'll probably have guests, coaches, media talking about all that unfolds on Sunday with the sectional draw. Please join us. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a high school football fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Thanks so much. Central Indiana Sports Report is brought to you by TG Media, and I love Susie.